From the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Ticats This Week with RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker.
Thanks for joining us on Ticats This Week. I'm RJ Broadhead with Luke Tasker. And Luke, what a game we've got Friday, 7:30. It'll be on the Ticats Audio Network. It's the biggest rivalry for the Tiger Cats against the Argonauts, and it sets up the two hottest teams in the CFL right now. Ticats have won 2 in a row. Argos have won 4 in a row. So putting these two teams playing really well head-to-head, it should be an exciting game. It's an important one for both teams, no doubt about it. Argos, if they go to 5-0, now they've got a pretty nice lead in that East Division, and almost, I know it's early in the year, but leaves the Ticats, the Alouettes, and the Red Blacks battling for second spot. It would be really tough to catch the Argos if they win this one, but if the Tiger Cats can win, it's a real statement. It should be exciting. How are you feeling about this game?
Yeah, it is very exciting. The Ticats with 2 wins, it's an entirely different story than what we were talking about 2 weeks ago. And to be honest, a win just feels more likely than you might have said 2 weeks ago when things were really going wrong and there was a lot of corrections to make. Well, you know, it seems like a team who can find a way to win. Ottawa came down to the wire, of course, and Edmonton scored a lot of points in the fourth quarter, but really the Ticats handled that game much more so than maybe the score even indicates. And I'm excited to watch this team. Of course, you've got the injuries that we'll talk about here that are going to be, the main factor. You're going to have offensive production from a very new, very young quarterback. And we'll get to that, but yeah, this is the Labor Day precursor. This is at Tim Hortons Field. We'll see. Toronto, I have nothing bad to say about that team right now. They seem to be the real deal. They're playing very good football. You can see it. It looks that way on paper. In years past, specifically, these last 2 seasons, Toronto, even when they were winning games, that is not the way that it looked statistically in the league. They were not at the top of those boards, turnover ratio, second down conversion, all that. Well, this year they are. They look good, and so it's going to take everything for this Ticats team to get a win there.
Do you blame some Ticats fans, Luke, if they're not fully believing yet? A win against Ottawa, a win in Edmonton, games that the Tiger Cats probably should win. Now you've got the Argos, top team in the league, undefeated team. Do you think if the Tiger Cats can win this game, there'll be a lot more believers that, okay, Tiger Cats have found their game after a slow start?
This game would make a win here against Toronto should make a believer out of any skeptic. I mean, this is a great challenge and a really good team coming into Tim Hortons Field, and the Ticats have the obvious quarterback issues going on here. The Argonauts do not have that issue with Chad Kelly playing very well right now. So if with a win after this game, there would be no more skeptics. I mean, this is a team. This would be a team who's overcome their issues. But it's a great challenge, and there's reason. Your first question was, do I blame anybody who's still a non-believer? My first answer is yes, I do blame them. They should be. They should be a believer all the way. But for this Tiger Cat team. But the reasons that you might still have some skepticism as to if they can go the long run here is there has been slow starts. Even those 2 games, of course, Ottawa and Edmonton were coming into those matchups as losing teams, and Edmonton, of course, is still continues their struggles. Ottawa with a great win recently against the West. So those games where you got those struggling opponents, they still had slow starts. I mean, they still struggled to get themselves up and going off the ground there, and I don't think you're going to have the freedom to do that against Toronto. They're going to need to come out in this first quarter, maintain ball security, and put points on the board early.
So you've led the interviewer a couple of times here, and I can pick up on that. So let's talk about Taylor Powell. I know yes. you brought it up a couple of times indirectly, so let's go right at it. He'll get his first CFL start. His first CFL pass was a touchdown. I remember talking to him in the preseason. He had just joined the team 9 days before that first preseason game. Bo played the first 2 series, and then he came in. Really wouldn't have known the playbook that well, just being at camp for 9 days. Did pretty well in that preseason game. You think back okay, it's preseason, but now all of a sudden that experience he got there, pretty valuable. He's come in confident. He's been able to learn under the tutelage of course, Tommy Condell and listen to Bo Levi Mitchell and Matt Schultz, 2 veteran quarterbacks in the CFL. But now it's showtime. What do you expect from Taylor Powell?
Well, I think they're going to give him a chance to make plays downfield, and that's exciting. I don't think we're going to see an overly conservative game plan. In fact, as the Ticats' offensive approach to these last games, and as Tommy Condell's moved through the season, they've had more success giving their guys chances. They're taking shots. They're not. It seems to me like they weren't going to go 0-4 or 0-5, 4-1. And finish those games saying, well, we weren't sure if we could move the ball down the field in big chunks. No, they were calling shots, and with Matt Schultz there, he was able to move the ball downfield. I actually don't expect they're going to change that very much. They're going to let Taylor Powell get a chance to throw the ball downfield. You can't expect to see, and I would hope that Condell and those guys are going to game plan this to give him some quick options, especially in the first quarter. Little quick routes where you can a quarterback is going to pre-snap read. A lot of times he's going to pick at least the half of the field he's going to prior to the ball even snapping. Kind of get him into the rhythm of the game without maybe giving him a real complex concept to read his way through. It is just a classic young quarterback puzzle. Is just you go in there, you want to do the best for the team. And sometimes that attitude, that effort can lead to turnovers. That'll lose the game for sure. A handful of turnovers will do it. Toronto has the most takeaways and the least turnovers. So they're winning the ratio by a combination of being great on both sides of the football. And sometimes, that can happen other ways. Sometimes an offense is really good at keeping the football, but the defense doesn't take it away. And we've seen spells of that from Hamilton and other teams in the league too. But this Toronto team is great on both sides of that. Hamilton's gotten much better at it as well. I think the Ticats are -3 right now net on the season, giving the ball away a total 3 more times than they've taken it away. But they've had some nice defensive turnovers in these recent games. Timely. They've gotten points off of them, defensive touchdowns off. So they got to keep that effort up. They got to make Chad Kelly make some errant throws, tackle with their hatchets out. But Taylor Powell, when that ball security comes to him, he's got to err on the side of finishing every play Ticat ball.
Yeah, at practice on Monday, I saw Taylor and, congratulated him on his first CFL pass and wished him luck in his first start. And he came by with the fist bump. And sometimes with perception, anyway, I wound up, I felt fist bumping him too hard.
Yeah.
And I thought, geez, can you imagine? His throwing hand, but anyway, it was not that hard, of course. But it was one of those.
I thought you were going to say you were icing your fist over there because his throwing hand is so strong.
That's right. He hurt me. He didn't even feel it. So that's the good news. But I was thinking afterwards, we got a fist bump with your non-throwing hand. Let's not even take any risks there. But he can sling it. Watching him in practice, he rips it in there. He's got a great arm. I'm excited to see what he can do. But the good thing there, too, Luke, is the running game has been much better. And when you've got a guy making his first CFL start, James Butler seems to have a ton of confidence right now. The offensive line is solidifying. Having Tyrone Riley back is important. So the running game should be effective. It has been in the last 2 games for the Tiger Cats, and that'll be crucial. And the Argos are game planning right now to stop James Butler in the run. They're going to try to make Taylor Powell throw the ball. I'm not in their meetings, but common sense would say that's what they're going to try to challenge the Tiger Cats with. But if James Butler can play like he did in the last game, it's going to be tough to stop the Tiger Cats run, isn't it?
Yeah, you bet. And that's the beauty. Taylor Powell, new quarterback or not, that's the best thing. One of the best things about having such a balanced offense is that the defense they cannot play unbalanced. They can't play unfair. They've got to be in position to stop both the run and the pass, and they've got to respect a guy like James Butler, especially coming off that game in Edmonton, and he's climbing up the league rankings for yards rushing right now, made a huge difference at Edmonton. Huge. I mean, it helps control the clock. Of course, it gets first downs, moves the ball down the field. He scored a touchdown. I mean, it's just a really great thing to watch. And I found it interesting talking to Coach O. This is not a case of, the game progressed in such a way where running made more sense. So like you kept on it because it was the field position and the game time situational awareness was just such that it asked for a run. Well, maybe part of it, but the other part is no. Like they wanted to run the ball. Like they went into that game saying, if nothing else, we're going to have ran the ball more times than we had in weeks past. It's a concerted effort to get positive production on the ground in the run game, and you love to see something like that just play out positively. They game plan for it. They draw it up. The O-line feels comfortable, and as they put it onto the field, they're starting to get big chunks in the run game, and it makes everything look different watching the Ticat offense, and it makes everybody's job, not just a running back, of course, who's loving getting those carries and getting all that production. It makes certainly the O-line, definitely the quarterback, and even the receivers' jobs easier.
And put into the mix Tyreek McAllister. He's had some run plays, and he's also a receiver, great punt returner, second best punt return average in the CFL right now. So I get the feeling we haven't even scratched the surface on what we're going to see from Tyreek McAllister from now going forward. I just feel like he's going to be a lot more involved in the offense, and it adds another dynamic. Yes, you can key on James Butler, but maybe McAllister gets the handoff, or maybe they both go out to be receivers. It just adds a lot more options for Taylor Powell or whoever's at quarterback and the Tiger Cats offense. Are you as excited as me as seeing what Tyreek McAllister will add to this offense just to make them so much more unpredictable?
I am, and there's no telling what it will be. He's going to catch some out of the backfield, and he's going to come in his packages, and the CFL is so great for how creative you can be with that because of the waggle motion. I mean, you can end up in the backfield having started out as one of the slot receivers and motion your way into the run game. There's all sorts of creative stuff you can do with screens and draws. And so, yeah, it's exciting to watch, and it's hard to prepare for as an opponent. And not to mention what he's done in the return game. I mean, that was a really great looking return that got called back in Edmonton. He's one of those guys that feels like it could happen every time he catches the ball.
Let's talk about the defense. There is a bit of a change. Richard Leonard will go to that field corner spot. Tunde Adeleke is back, but Stavros Katsantonis will stay at safety. Tunde is going to the field half spot, and the boundary side will stay the same with Kenneth George Jr. at the corner and Javian Elliott at the half. But Richard Leonard going to that field side corner. It seems, he's so consistent. We've talked about it before on Ticats this week. A reliable guy out there, but it has been an area that teams have been targeting. So it's something the Tiger Cats want to shore up on that side, and having Adeleke and Leonard, two veterans there. Do you think that'll help?
Well, you've heard Courtney Stephen and Mike Daly call Richard Leonard's footwork, I can't remember if they said magical or what was the word? Miraculous. It's beautiful. I don't know. It's great. Some overly positive terms. So he's a
caliber.
Ballroom caliber footwork. Yes. It's a sight to see, and he is a technician. Very quick, very, very smart, really, really smart in open space out there with ball time and with the sort of football knowledge of how routes progress and where to expect receivers to get to. And so, yeah, it feels to me like kind of putting a trump card out into whichever spot you want to place him. I think he's that kind of defensive back, and so we'll see. I mean, it is a lot of field to cover over there with the boundary. With the hashes being narrowed last season, that field isn't so far out of reach. That field side isn't so far out of reach with the far boundary being brought in. So, he's going to get his chances to make plays, and I hope that the Argonauts put the ball in his direction sometimes. The more times they do that, the more chances he's going to have to have a turnover.
Yeah. As a receiver, Luke, you had a lot of success. I'm looking at a couple of guys like Tim White and Duke Williams, top two receivers for the Tiger Cats, but kind of quiet games for them as far as targets and receptions in the past two games. Tim White had 2 receptions in the last game, but they were big ones, a 54-yarder and that touchdown that Taylor Powell threw on his first CFL pass. But Duke Williams was targeted once. He didn't have a catch. I talked to him about it, and he said, yeah, it wasn't, his most productive game, but he'll take a win. And James Butler, 127 yards rushing every day of the week, every game of the year, if it turns into a victory. And he's happy to block and do what he can for that. But I think Ticats fans want to see, those 100-yard receiving games from Duke Williams that he had earlier in the year and Tim White. Is there any concern as a receiver when you have a couple of games where you're not targeted as much and you don't have as many receptions?
Yeah, it's on your head as a receiver. I know that. And I remember quiet games of mine. It's hard because, in the weeks past, we're here on the Ticats Audio Network. We're in our podcast and we're saying, wow, Duke Williams is becoming such a great part of this Ticats offense. But we got to run the ball more. They got to get the ball to James Butler. And then we go
happy.
Yeah. I know. RJ, you're such a complainer, man. Oh my goodness. We get out to Edmonton and James Butler, goes off for this huge game and, it ends up being quiet for Duke Williams. That was the catch. I can think back to the catch that he had in that kind of alley up the middle. Lots of traffic around, and it would have been a spectacular catch. So if he had only had the one, it would have been enough, for to have a meaningful impact on the game. And that was close, but we'll see him get involved again. I mean, I think he's done a great job across the middle, kind of behind that linebacker depth. The CFL slots have to sort of dominate in that 5 to 15 yard range, interacting with linebackers below or above. We'll see more of it, and part of, what's the word? I mean, not the tragic part of a receiver's job, but we have to block too. You gotta get out there and be part of the run game. And Duke's a big body and strong and tough. So, he's making an unknown, unseen impact in James Butler's performance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a big receiver, and he sort of had a little sly grin about what he was going to do against Toronto. So sometimes when star guys don't have a huge game, they come back with a pretty impressive one. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Duke put up some numbers against Toronto.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Tim White the same. I mean, and it's on Coach O and Tommy's minds as well. You want to keep those guys involved and playing as far as it comes down to play call.
So it is a home game. That means it is the Greenworks Listen to Win contest. And Ticats fans, this is a good one. So every home game, you need to listen for a keyword during the pregame show with Bubba and Andy. So you have to log on to ticats.ca/Greenworks to enter. And one lucky listener will win a Greenworks 1800 PSI pressure washer with high-pressure soap applicator. So you get the 1800 pounds per square inch. Of course, PSI, my chemistry coming in handy there. Also says on the box. But that high-pressure soap applicator, it's great for washing your vehicles. Everybody needs a pressure washer, courtesy of Greenworks, of course. So be sure to tune in to Tiger Cats pregame, presented by Greenworks at listen.ticats.ca, starting at 6:30 with Bubba and Andy. They'll give a keyword, and you'll have to log in to ticats.ca/Greenworks to enter. So they'll let you know what the word is, and then you have a chance to win that pressure washer. So there will be one lucky listener who hauls in that great prize. Montreal's on a bye week, so Ottawa will play in Calgary. Ottawa's pretty interesting, too, right now in that East Division, Luke, with, they're at 2 wins. I would be shocked if Calgary, their opposition, doesn't make Dustin Crum throw the football. He's already the leading quarterback rusher in the CFL, and he's played just over a game and a half. So running has been a big key, but it'll be interesting to see what Calgary does, because then next week the Tiger Cats have the Red Blacks again. So it'll be very interesting to see if there is a weakness in the young quarterback. But we're seeing a ton of young quarterbacks, and Friday's game at Tim Hortons Field features 2 undefeated quarterbacks in 2023. Now,
good point.
This is what we talk about all the time. Don't let truth get in the way of statistical facts. It's a fact that no losses for Chad Kelly, no losses for Taylor Powell, although this is his first start.
Yeah, you're right. Don't let truth get in the way of the point I'm making, okay?
Well,
no,
it is true.
I love it.
They haven't, neither one's lost.
Here's where the truth of that comes in, is that yes, the Ticats have had their losses. Toronto beat Hamilton early this season. Taylor Powell not having a part in that game. It is true that in that athlete's mind, you haven't lost a game. In a sense, you do have that undefeated feeling about you, and you threw a touchdown. You came in and held it together for the rest of the Edmonton game. There's no reason why we shouldn't see him come out and play a fine football game. I mean, it's going to come down to Tommy Condell helping him a little bit. Like I said, giving him those answers to make early on. But you can't hide as a professional quarterback. You're going to have to make plays. It's going to come down to some of the things you do one way or another. And the other undefeated quarterback in the equation, Chad Kelly, like I said, I've been impressed with him so far. I mean, he's making these games look easy for him.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the start of the year, and I know I needed to see more. What he had done coming into this year, I thought there was a lot of accolades coming his way, and he kind of had to back that up, and he definitely has, coming off career high with over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. When you look at the Argos statistically, the run stands out. They're number 1 in the CFL. AJ Ouellette has been tough to bring down. He's pretty much a north-south runner, but he'll run guys over. And Andrew Harris, kind of the same type guy who comes in for quite a few runs himself, and he's a future Hall of Famer. So Chad Kelly is proving he can throw the ball. Is there a key to stopping this Argos offense? Is it stop the run, or has Chad Kelly proven that, hey, go ahead and do it because I'll be able to throw it?
Yeah, that's the tough thing about a good offense. There's not going to be an easy answer. I've thought the Ticats defense has looked great when they've taken away quick answers for quarterbacks. When you go, there's so much space in the defensive secondary in the CFL. So if you go all game and you play a ton of man-to-man, you're going to lose some battles. You just can't win all across the board, all those battles all the time. And so, you're in a sense, there's the risk of getting beat big when you do that. But to me, with all that space, if they are going to give Chad Kelly time, he's going to be able to find those. You can just move down the field with 7-yard gains, 8-yard gains, and then one of your 5-yard throws turns into a 15-yard gain because the receiver makes somebody miss. And I think it's just, you can really wear down a defense by picking apart low zones. I don't know. I would take some space out. I would make him find the matchup he wants, and then he's got to buy time and be protected until he can make that throw. But we'll see. I mean, that's the thing about a team that's 4-0. They're gonna make their plays too. They're gonna find ways to do it, and you can't go in spurts. Like I said, I mean, the Ticats really in Edmonton, they turned the ball over on the opening kickoff, and then it was sort of back and forth in that first part of the game until close to the end of the first half. I just don't think it's going to go that way against Toronto. I think that the Ticats have to come out and probably play their best first and second quarter of the year.
No better motivation than the top team, the most confident team, Argos, the defending Grey Cup champs, and they've zipped out to a 4-0 start. Game time is 7:30 at Tim Hortons Field. The Tiger Cats will be looking for their 3rd straight win. Argos looking for their 5th straight. So 2 teams playing fantastic right now. If you can be at Tim Hortons Field, hope to see you there. If not, be sure to listen on Ticats Audio Network. Pre-game show at 6:30, and of course, it's the Greenworks Listen to Win. Bubba and Andy will have some great guests and great information leading into the game, and then Luke and I will have the call at 7:30 on the Ticats Audio Network. Luke, can't wait to see you at Tim Hortons Field on Friday.
Yeah, same here. It's going to be a great game, RJ. I'll see you there.
It's been another busy week for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Luke Tasker and RJ Broadhead have covered it all, and now we would like to hear from you. Email us anytime at gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.